legends. Past legends.
We welcome Peter McIntyre. 97 first-class matches, 322 wickets, and vitally my favourite ever innings of 6 not out. Welcome, Macca.
G'day, how are you?
Good, mate. Let's start, obviously, from Victoria. Where did you start your junior career, mate?
My junior career or my first-class career?
Well, let's
Go back to
we'll
as a
start
kid.
with juniors.
Yep.
What was your junior club?
My junior club was a place called Romsey, which was about an hour out of Melbourne, so sort of past Sunbury in Victoria. So I played there at Romsey with my father and 2 brothers, and then headed to Essendon Cricket Club at 16 years of age, where they don't have juniors. So I was basically in their 4th team when I arrived at Essendon.
And moved through the ranks there, obviously.
Yes, look, I think there were 13 spinners in front of me at the time. So I had to bide my time in those 4ths, and then we won a final in the 4ths and moved into the 3rds, and then quickly into the seconds team, and then I had a little bit of a hurdle because the leg spinner in the first team was going out with the chairman selector's daughter. So
that always helps, yeah.
Yeah, up against it, David Tate, and then I got an offer to go to head across to Collingwood, which I very passionately for in the AFL.
Yep.
And I decided to stay at Essendon and fight my way for a spot in the first team, which came along pretty quickly.
We won't hold that against you, Collingwood supporter.
No, nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, and then you debuted for Victoria at the MCG in '89. What's your first memories of your first Shield game?
Look, it was a long one. It was, I think I bowled 40 odd overs in an innings. It was, we played Western Australia in that my first game, and they had Jeff Marsh, Mike Valletta, but I think Dean Jones made a lot of runs in that game as well. So it was a very much a welcome to first class cricket, from bowling in 2-day matches in club cricket to a 4-day when you're bowling 40 overs in an innings. So
Who was your first wicket?
Oh, I think it might have been Jeff Marsh, I think.
Claim that either way.
Yeah,
Claim that
pretty
either way.
handy.
We're not going to argue, mate. Mac.
Yeah, it was either he or Valletta. I think Mike Valletta. Yeah.
And then you had some time with the Commonwealth Bank Cricket Academy over in South Australia. And
Yes.
and of course there was a certain blonde leg spinner in Victoria probably starting to arrive, and then you moved over to South Australia. Go through that decision and experience, Mac.
Yeah, look, I'd call him my blonde problem over across 13 years. So, unfortunately, he was just a superstar, wasn't he? And and to compete for the one spot was difficult. But headed across to South Australia and lived with Terry Jenner for a little while, and Warney went off to Glenelg somewhere in a hotel or motel or whatever it is, and Rod Marsh was our coach, and sadly all 3 have gone with heart attacks now. Yeah, so I'm the sole survivor out of the 4 of us. So
Did you ever get to bowl with Shane Warne with Victoria?
not in Victoria,
No.
no, but I did in my first Test match, which was
we'll get to
which
that.
was fantastic. Yeah, but look, I headed back to Victoria. Circumstances were against me across there. I think I was out of favour with several unnamed, personalities at the time. But Terry Jenner coaching Tea Tree Gully, so I decided to head back over and have a shot at playing for South Australia here and being coached by Terry Jenner. And he said to me, I will get you a baggy dream eventually. And he did.
He's a great man, TJ. Sarah missed as well. I did a few coaching clinics with TJ, and fascinating. No better person to talk cricket with, theories which could go in many different directions. And he was he was a fascinating man. Now, Australia A, you had some success with that in 94, 95, Macca, which probably helped as well.
Yeah, I think so. Look, it was I'd had a pretty good season, 94, 95, and it was great that they introduced the Australia A concept, and it was really interesting that by the end of the try series that it seemed like the crowd was on our side.
Yeah.
They were barracking for the underdog and wanted us to knock Australia over, and I don't think Tubby Taylor was very happy about it at the time. So
Yeah, I think Tubby he took exception to that probably more than anyone else, actually.
Yeah, he did. He didn't like it. He did not like it. And, we had some serious players in that Australian A side, so that went on to play many, many matches for Australia, the Australian team. So.
Well, it certainly helped Bluey's test to get Bluey's test debut as well.
That's right. Yep.
And Georgie played in that as well, and Hags played a little bit as well. So there was a South Australian connection there as well. Now, Baggy Green, number 364, and of course debuting here at Adelaide Oval against England. Macca, go through your memories there, and of course, obviously one of them's batting with Bluey. So yeah, and Bluey caught your first wicket too, I reckon, on memory.
He did. I think that was Mike Gadding. And look, to actually, I suppose, have a friendly rivalry with Warney over many years, to eventually be chosen for my debut in an Australian side, not replacing him but playing with him.
Yep.
I was quite chuffed by that, and I'd come off a pretty good season, pretty confident, and I guess it was the whole, Adelaide Oval factor, 2 leg spinners against England. And I'll just start. And, of course, they started on Australia Day back then too. So we, with the test match opening on Australia Day, was another special day as well. So, but, batting-wise, didn't have a great match, but got Bluey to his first 100 in test cricket. So
You can go through the conversation with Bluey about batting against Devon Malcolm there, Macca.
Yeah, look, it was... what was he? He was, I think he was 92 not out overnight or something.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd better take him out of the general Havelock just for a little celebration. So the night got away from us a little bit. I won't say what time we got in, but
I can't believe it got away from you two. Yeah.
No. So we anyway we
clearly
set
not a
up
watch between them.
No. So we set up for the next day, and wickets tumbled, and then Craig McDermott went down with
bowel obstruction.
Bowel, something wrong with his bowel.
Bowel obstruction. I'm sorry, Macca. I've actually had 2 of those operations myself, and so I know it's certainly the most pain I've ever been in. So I'm one who won't make any. Yeah, I've got vivid memories of that, well and truly. So yeah.
Anyway, he took off to hospital, and I got elevated one spot. So batting with Bluey, and then having to face Big Debbie Malcolm, who I had all sorts of trouble with. I could not see the ball out of his hand. He was wide of the crease. He had an action that I just couldn't pick up. Whereas Bluey, Bluey with these short balls and pull shots and facing fast bowlers, it was pretty easy for him. So I just walked down the wicket and I said to Bluey, "You've got to get on with this because I am not here for very long." And that's when he started to charge the bowling and started charging, I think, Big Angus Fraser and Phil DeFreitas. And anyway, we got him there. And he got 100. So
I will recite an episode with Macca early on. Let's be honest, I've never been afraid to state my point of view, Peter. And so it's a Shield game. Young blew it, and he got moved down the batting order in a run chase. And by Bluey's own admission, he didn't exactly hit him that well when he came in. Anyway, we'd won the game, and we're in the Chapel Bar, a.k.a. the Magic Cave, after South Australia have won.
Yes.
And in marches P. McIntyre, comes straight up to me, starts having a crack. How dare you get stuck in a blew it and that, and I'm about to defend myself. And my mate with me said, Jeff Wilson, who does listen to our podcast each week, said, Macca, I'd love to say it was Malcolm, but it was actually the guy in front of us. And you just went, oh, okay. And that was it. We moved on.
Terrific.
Yeah, so a bit of fun.
Long time ago, eh?
Yes.
Ready to tear shreds.
Yes. Oh, well, let's be honest. When you're a person who goes to Shield cricket, there ain't that many of us. So you do know it. We all know each other in South Australian cricket and all that side of things. Now, you test debut, and then of course, the other famous thing, and you bowled the other ball of the century to remove your bunny. Only took you 2 balls. A certain player who could bat a bit, Macca.
Yeah, you got that right. The other ball of the century. Let's just confirm that. So, yeah, if you compare the 2 balls, they're very similar. So, look, we're next Test match in New Delhi, a one-off test, and myself and Brad Hogg on that trip in the team. Warney had injured the hand or the finger, I think the tendon in the hand.
Yeah.
So, so we got my second Test match and managed to Sachin Tendulkar, first game as captain. So managed to pick him up for 10 with the other ball of the century, caught a first slip. So finished with 3. I reckon I could have had 5. Ganguly ran at me, hit his thigh, and Heels missed the stumping. So
you only make your kids watch that 3 hours a day, isn't it? It's just the 3 hours.
We've had it on constant loop here as well, so it's all good.
Look at the drift. Look at the drift and the amount of spin. My God.
Getting Tendulkar is a pretty special achievement. He doesn't get out cheaply too often, that's for sure.
No, especially his first game as captain as well. So just to rub it in.
Yeah. Certainly something you can wear forever. Now let's move on to my favourite ever game of cricket as a spectator, and that the Shield final. I admit to both Peters with that I may have put a jumper on and jogged 5Ks to the doctors and walked in, and the doctor looked at me, was sweating, and I got a week off from work straight away. So that was it. I'm sure the statute of limitations
7 years I think is gone now. Yeah, I think you're pretty safe.
I'm okay with that. Now, against a ridiculously talented WA side, Hussey, Gilchrist, Langer, Martin, Lavender and Baker, who are pretty fair Shield players as well. But there was a certain guy who really, while as cricket nuts, we all knew this guy was good, but a certain A. Gilchrist announced really to the cricket public that, hey, this guy was way better than good. And, South Australian attack, Gillespie, Shane George, Greg Blewett, Peter McIntyre, Tim May, 189 not out. It was an incredible innings, Macca.
He had a strike rate of 101 and, batting at 7, and we had them at, 6 for 251, I think, and then went up to 7 for 291. We thought, okay, we'll be able to sort of keep this to 3 to 350, and he just went bang. And he put, there was a temporary stand in those days, and he put Maisie and I into that stand quite regularly. And, that Hogg got a 61, and they ended up, declaring it 9 for 520. So that really turned, batting first as well in Adelaide. It was all set up for them really to really knock us over, because batting, you always batted first in Adelaide, and for obvious reasons, with the pitch deteriorating with the heat, and they weren't drop-ins in those days. So pretty big score. So we had to come out and bat pretty well. So and
Nobesy got 100,
103,
and that.
Yep.
A few other James Brayshaw 87 before getting run out. We've probably had a few other guys who got starts. Both Buff 43 and Jamie Siddons 38. So we probably could have made a few more. Really, I think that was our general thought that we left a little bit out there. I think one thing when WA batted again, which is probably forgotten a little bit due to the rearguard action of winning at the end, was Bluey running out Damien Martin and Buff running out Gilly, both for Ducks and for Norton too in the second innings, was a vital part of making WA have to bat that bit longer than they probably wanted to.
Yeah, and another guy announced himself too, Jason Gillespie, right? So
yes,
he took 4 for 33, and he arrived on the scene as well. But to hold them to 169 was a great effort. Again, they declared. Look, that run out was crucial of Gilly from Buff, and that was side on amazing run out. Yeah, amazing. So, and then they didn't quite recover from that. So holding him to that was probably it swayed it probably across to us a little bit more. That we still had to hold out. It's a 5-day match, remember, in those days.
Yes.
So, well, it still is. It still is for the final.
Yeah.
So.
And then it fluctuated a lot on the last day. Like we lost it.
What?
We were 2 for overnight. Then Dizzy was night watchman got out. Then Boof getting out for a duck. We all sort of.
Yep.
I remember all of us heads down and
hold your breath.
Yeah, for the worst. And then Bluey copped an LBW, which was absolutely plumb if you were playing with 9 stumps. Hurt us a bit, obviously. And then, that afternoon, go through your whole the whole feelings of that afternoon, Macca.
It was like it was, I'd actually, I'd been to dinner with Maisie. We went to a favourite Indian place that we used to go to, and Maisie said, this is going to go down the wire, I reckon. Like, it's going to be really close, and, thinking we could potentially win it, but draw it at the same time. Anyway, Bluey was in top form in those days, and then our middle order sort of collapsed a bit, and then Brayshaw got going with Bluey, and then Brayshaw went back and tried to pull hog and went straight up in the head. Shocking shot. Yeah, shocking shot. We always remind Brayshaw about that shot, actually.
So we should.
Yeah. Yeah, and then of course Siddons had hurt his hip, which it was pretty silent at the time, and he doesn't sort of whinge a lot, Jamie.
No.
Anyway, then he had to come out with basically a really injured hip, and I think it was just we got to lunch, I think it was, or tea time,
I reckon.
And Nielsen got knocked over by Angel not long after.
Yes.
Yeah. But, Jamie was out there for like 2.5 hours, right?
Yeah, 134 minutes,
166 minutes for 134 balls for 4 runs.
Yeah.
And it was a 4 that he hit too.
That's right, and he couldn't run at all, and it was and then it turned into survival, right? So, and then everyone started getting nervous, and taking off out of the rooms, and
we went for a drive.
Couldn't watch. Yeah, Boof
That's amazing.
Bandaged himself up like a mummy. Try and take some tension out of the room, and and then Maisie batted for almost probably just over an hour actually.
Yep.
And for a 0 again, so and gobbling up 50 odd balls. So so then sort of out I stroll with 8 down. 8 down time.
Yep.
8 down. And then I think Jamie might have got out. I think that's
yes, it was Jamie. Yep.
9 for 202.
Yeah. And then our stroll's Georgie. So I try to remember. I think I batted for nearly an hour, but we had to get through a dozen overs, I think, so something like that. So
could you hear the countdown when the crowd started counting? Yeah.
It was to the Green Bottles.
Yes.
Yeah, the Green Bottles song. They started singing that, and I remember the crowd jumping the fence, inside the fence.
The last over.
And it was like and I was strolling off to square leg most of the time, trying to gather my thoughts because there was so much sledging going on that.
What made you?
I had to get out of him.
What made you decide that you'd take Julian and Georgie would take Brad Hogg?
Look, I probably was more comfortable with facing the quicks than what Georgie was, and the message came out that I should take the quicks and Georgie take the spin.
Okay.
I must admit, Georgie came out pretty relaxed. I mean, he was always an anxious fella, And,
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he seemed pretty relaxed at the time, which I found a little bit strange. But maybe he was putting shield on. Or...
maybe someone slipped him something.
Calm
him down.
Good guess, maybe.
Yeah.
But then I started. Georgie started to take Brad Hogg, and I took Brendan Julian. So. And that was the message that came out, actually. So it was probably a good idea at the time. So, of course, it was a good idea because we won the match, didn't we?
Bloody oath. And that last ball where you blocked it,
Yeah, look, I had to stop myself running out of the crease in case they ran me out, right? So I sort of stopped for a few seconds and thought, right, it's over. And then sort of ran off the ground like I've never run before.
No, so. you did that at a fair pace, actually,
yeah.
And
absolutely.
Then jumped up into the rooms. Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
look, just magic, a culmination of a number of years of planning to win a Shield and bringing a team together and connecting a team, So we had a lot of different characters and different personalities in the team.
And it'd be remiss not to mention Bomber Hammond's influence on that, on the whole group, and that as well.
And we're pretty shattered to lose. We're pretty shattered to give Queensland their first win the year before as well.
Yes.
So
that ruined every cricket joke in history with bloody us stuffing that up against Queensland the year before.
Had to be us. Yeah. So
what
amazing game.
What did you think about Brendan Julian's last over to you? It was a little bit loose. You would have expected him to be a bit tighter than he was.
I think when you look at the footage, he looks even more nervous than I was.
That's why I ask.
I mean, he bowled quite a few overs, hadn't he? Like in the match.
Yes.
I think
that was his 29th over in the second innings.
29, right? Okay, so
13 maidens, 56, 4 for 56.
Right,
and he bowled 30 overs in the first innings.
Yeah, he got it picked up at 5 for there as well, I think. Yeah. So he was in reasonable form, but it was like he was resigned to. I don't know. It was just very strange because that Moody kept trying to pull it up and make the over go as long as possible, and I think that was to their detriment. I think BJ wanted to get on with it, and Moody kept sort of trying to slow it down. And I think that would have been better if he'd let BJ get on with it. So I think that was an advantage for us at the time.
Well, we're glad he didn't.
Yeah. Look, guys, amazing match.
Oh, look, it was incredible. And the celebrations, back at the Planet, back at the ground the next night. It's, give me that. Look, I know I'm a traditionalist and all that, but give me a Shield win every time. Like, I've got to be honest, when the Strikers won, the mates I was sitting there with that, see you, mate. Yep, see you in the week. Where for me, if South Australia win the Shield, it's massive. Where, take it or leave it sort of thing. I admit I'm state biased and that, and I go to Shield cricket.
And it's 26 years ago. Very sad, right?
Yes. Now
we need to do something.
Yeah, we will get to that at the end. I've got to admit that is my last point, actually. Now, Macca, there'd be a certain. There's another game too where you had an incredible game of district cricket where you won Tea Tree Gully a flag. Now, go through that a bit because Damon Hall would certainly, who does listen to our podcast from Canberra, would have had a crack at me if I hadn't mentioned that game in your contribution, mate.
Yeah, so a massive week for myself.
Yes.
Finished the Shield on the Wednesday, celebrated pretty hard for the next 3 days, and then I sort of realised had a club final to play against Adelaide, which had Dizzy and Ben Johnson and Nobesy, pretty reasonable side. So I thought I'll head down to Magic Mountain. I'll just go and run up and down Magic Mountain and sober up and get myself right and gather my thoughts. And anyway, we got. I ended up going out again that night, actually. So bloody Maisie. I couldn't get away from Maisie. He just wanted to celebrate so much. And we spent a lot of time at that Planet. But
yes.
Well, it did help they had shares in the place, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And look, we batted first. I think we made 176. I ended up getting about 17. I don't know how. I probably saw 3 or 4 balls at a time because I was batting. But anyway, we finished that day, and lo and behold, I'm back at the Planet again, aren't I? So we went all night, and I reckon we probably got to about. There wasn't many of us left, but we got to about 6 a.m. and anyway, we started walking out, and Maisie said, "Have a look at this rain. It's pouring down. You're not playing today. Let's go back into the bar, right?" So we go back in, and it gets to 8:30. Have a peek out again. It stopped raining, and I said, "Maisie, what Adelaide Oval's like, the covers and everything. I reckon we're going to probably start on time." So I cab it home, grab my gear, and go straight to the ground. I was a little bit late for the warm-up, but that's okay. So away we go. And we got to tea time, and they were 6 for 171, Adelaide. And I just said, I was so dog tired. I've been living on adrenaline, and I just said to Marty Fall and Bob Zatto, I said, why don't we just stay out here and get this over and done with? And Marty Moose Fall, he just said, you know what, funny things happen, Macca. Let's go in and have tea, and we heading into the tea break, and we're seeing champagne and T-shirts come into the Adelaide room. They'd obviously thought they'd won it. So we were in there having a giggle, and so thinking we're in all sorts of trouble. So we go back out, and I was paired with Derek Woodcock, who eventually became an AFL umpire.
Yep.
Yeah. And anyway, they didn't score off us for about 25 minutes, and Dizzy was batting at the time as well. And they just didn't score. And I thought, what is going on? They only need 5 runs to win. Anyway, I think they got a 1 or a 2, and then they're just getting a single here and there, and they lost wickets at the time. Anyway, went bang, bang, and then all of a sudden they're 9 down for 174. Anyway, I think I've ended up bowling. At the time, I'd bowled 36 overs. I had 5 for 32 or something. And anyway, the guy Ben, trying to remember his name. He's batting 11. Yeah. I've thrown up this loopy wrong, and he's charged me, and I bowled him. We won by a run, and I've got 6 for 30 odd overs. Here we go again.
And who said drinking doesn't pay, Macca?
Oh, it was in, back to the club at Teachery Gully, first ever premiership, and that club was fairly young in the scheme of things, and it was TJ's first win as a club coach with a premiership, and it was just, I don't know, it was just a week of unbelievable times that I look so fondly on. So it was a massive week.
And you eventually got home.
I did eventually. So
wow, that'd have to go down as one of the biggest chokes in cricket, or SA cricket anyway, local cricket, for a while.
Yeah, it was probably the other one too. I'm just showing my age here, Macca, was Russell Parker took 6 for 14, including a hat trick as a part-time leggy to win Glenelg, the 73-74 district final where...
Oh, Lee, you've got a memory like a horse.
Yeah, you know that.
An elephant.
Yeah. So let's continue on with your career after that, Macca. So you'd also had a few injuries in that after that as well. And in South Australia, we probably never quite were as consistent as we'd been in that couple of year period again either. Retiring probably hurt us. And
look, and I'd sort of had 2 shoulder operations. Yeah. I'd blown a long-headed bicep, which had to be screwed back on, and then I tore my belly of my bicep, and my shoulder was basically pretty well shot by the end of that career there. So but still kept going and still enjoyed it. I think I got a bit more consistency when Buff came on the scene as captain.
Yep.
He certainly understood leg spin really well and where to bowl, especially the left-handers. And I think I probably struggle with consistency from not playing each game, but playing on the games that in the games where the pitches suited me. So, which really annoyed me at times when I was in great form, and you play Sydney, Adelaide, and then you'd go off to Hobart and you wouldn't play, and then you wouldn't play in Melbourne on So that was always tough to get consistency, but I managed to get that towards the end of my career. So. But it was 2 tests and Shield final and a club premiership. So I thought I've had a pretty good time in this game. So it was time to head off and find a real job.
A little bit of frustration not getting to the 100 first-class games?
Oh, not really. When I look at it, 97, probably 12th man 25 times. I'm not fussed by the 100, reaching 100. So no, not at all. But thanks for bringing it up, Malcolm.
Look, I know one thing personally. I would love to see Peter McIntyre involved in the administration of cricket in South Australia. A bit of common sense and no bullshit, naturally honesty wouldn't go Australia. In my opinion, you would help South Australian cricket markedly, Peter.
Yeah, look, I'm actually Andrew Sinclair's involved me in a strategic cricket committee at the moment that is making recommendation to the board. So our first, I suppose we're trying to embed some vision and ambition and try and change things up and try some different things. Let's try some things. And
yeah, I'm just not sure on the two divisions. I'm not a yes or a no against it. I've heard a lot of the negative stuff. I'm just not sure. It's going to be interesting, So therefore, does Tom Kelly, just using the thing that Sturt went down, does he have to change clubs? How that under 7, how that junior side works is probably a little bit up in the air. Like clubs are saying, well, hang on, how about if we have a kid, makes 100, can we then put him up into our A's? That's probably something which is up in the air a bit as well. So there's a few things still to be sorted out.
Yeah. So this is where we've got to have vision, ambition, Malcolm. So the idea is to bring the under-19 team together and start gelling, connecting them together as a team in 2-day cricket. It's only in 2-day cricket, by the way, the two divisions. There's still the one days where they all play each other. We want to start getting this under-19 team into playing probably a good level of cricket as well and playing regularly together, and that's the reason behind it. So now the two division factor is it's 2 up, 2 down each year. Now, what really pleased me in the paper on Monday, I was seeing Chad Sayers talking about 8v9 at the weekend and how it was such a high-pressure game, right? So that's what we want to hear, right? We want that standard and that high-pressure intensity where people get to experience that intensity of a game and they can take that into first-class cricket. So it just so happened that they were fighting it out for the 8th position.
Yeah. Now, I must admit I did call into Woodville not knowing whether the result at that stage, because I'd commentated a Sanford SANFLW game and called into Woodville, and yes, it was pretty big celebrations. It was like winning a flag, effectively. So, yeah.
And look, we've said 3 years. This is the 3-year plan. You can always tweak things, Malcolm. So but we've got to try some things. We just have to try. It's important that we have the top 8 playing against each other on good quality grounds as well. So and getting that coaching right across the board. And then we're now looking at the junior system and how the junior system sets up in the next period of time. So
I'd love to see Sturt move up to Mount Barker. Yeah, I'd love to, and like Northern Districts move out to Gawler. Let's get our grounds and people playing where people young guys are living. I reckon that's, instead of at the moment where we've got East Torrens, Kensington, Sturt and Adelaide also close together, let's move a club. I've always had that thought. So, yeah.
Yeah, look, I'm a big advocate of that northern and southern areas where there are big catchments, right? And I don't understand why there's always pressure on those two teams to, they talk about, they're the weakest teams and all that stuff. I don't believe that to be right, and I do think they need to consider investing some time and some funds into moving into the Gawler Barossa area.
Yes.
Picking up a lot of juniors there and a lot of players, which are probably a little bit resistant to coming into Northern Districts. What it does, it also opens up a little bit of space for Port Adelaide, where you've got Northern Districts operating out of Gawler Barossa, and then you've got Southern that should really move into the McLaren Vale area and pick up a really big pool of players. And I'll tell you an alarming statistic.
I couldn't agree more on that, Macca. I've always thought that. Yep.
Yeah. Mount Barker's an interesting one, right? So it's no longer a regional zone. I don't think it's a metro zone as are those hills. But an interesting statistic is that 70% of our juniors in South Australia are playing in the east or are from the east.
Yeah.
And you look at a Trinity Grammar, which has 4,000 kids going to it, they can't field 2 cricket teams. that's a real concern, right? So so we need to look at statistics and work through, how do we distribute these juniors into other clubs and get a really good club system going, or a junior system going, where the kids are playing on great grounds as well, right? So we need to redesign what the weekend looks like and which level of, is it under 17, under 15, 14?
Let's get it right. Yeah.
Yep. So there's a lot to look at there, and then you've got the female cricket as well that we need to get going as well, because we've only got 5 sides, I think. So we need to make sure that the females are playing cricket in this state as well. So,
especially because, let's face it, the Scorpions and the Lady Strike have been successful. Yep. Yeah, we need that to continue to grow. No doubt about that whatsoever.
And I've got no doubt we'll get to that as well. So, we'll look at the Premier Cricket, which we've done. We'll trial this 2 division. There'll be some initiatives in the junior cricket come through in the next few months that everyone will hear about. And then no doubt we'll move on to the female competition as well and try and get that going. So
will that be based around academies for those areas?
Something
along those lines?
That's in the mix, absolutely. Yeah. Investing in academies, working with community cricket, which is very, very important, by the way.
Yep.
Making sure that they're set up as well. So we need to be working with those community cricket clubs as well, because they supply a lot of these juniors as well, and some of the seniors. So we've got to work it out so that everyone fits into the whole, I suppose, strategic vision of where cricket's heading in South Australia. We've got to be powerful again.
And I couldn't agree more. It's because it is a real worry in terms of, I'm involved, at Payneham, and without the ethnic side of things, and which is fantastic, we'd really be struggling to field our sides now, and it's harder and harder getting people to commit for both days. People, and with work, except where Saturday is now work day as well. So where society's changed a lot, it is harder, and we've got to just try and think as many different possibilities as we can.
Yep, and take the tension out of school cricket and club cricket, right? So how do we work together there? There's lots to consider, and lots of opportunities. So it's just, we need people to have vision and ambition here, and try some things. You keep trying things. If things work, great. If things don't, you can always change. So, but we've got to have a go.
Well summed up, Macca. And of course, you've been heavily involved in the health industry in general with work and that now for a fair while. With your,
I'm in my 23rd year in pharmaceuticals. So, So, with a company called Sanofi, which is a French company at the moment. So, it started in a company you may remember, Falding.
Falding, yes.
Yeah. So, I'm still with those brands and products. So, it's been 23 years. I think I started with Falding the last 2 years of playing cricket, and mixing it in with going to the Netherlands and coaching in the Netherlands, playing for Rotterdam. I had 2 seasons over there. So, and I reckon I had 2 of the best years of my career when I was working and playing. It was tough, but it's just, I had that distraction, balance. And, I just had to make sure I was getting my fitness done early in the morning. I'd be leaving as everyone else was coming in. And then in the afternoon, I'd come for the skills and they'd all be finished. So I'd sort of have to grab, Siddons or someone to bowl to at the end of the day. But I just felt I had a really great balance of working and setting up a career outside of cricket. So
greatly appreciated, Macca, and I'm sure your youngsters are looking forward to only another hour of the bowling, getting Tendulkar tonight, mate. So, no. Greatly appreciated. Look forward to catching up, Mac. Thanks, mate.
No problem, fellas.
Thank you, mate. They're much appreciated, as we said. And just for those stats for everybody, 97 matches, 798 runs in his first-class career, and none more important than the 6 for the Sheffield Shield win.
Yep. That's the important 6 backer. Bugger the 43 highest ever score. That's the
right.
six not out's the one. So, no,
thanks. I enjoy the reminiscing.
Thanks, Macca.
Appreciate
it, mate.
In this crazy world we live in, we all need the distraction. Enjoying the show? Like, rate, and subscribe. Hook up and connect with us on social media at Sportscast SA. We'll see you next time on Game On.